Wine has been an integral part of human nature for millennia, embodying the history, geography, and traditions of the regions where it is produced. The world of wine can be broadly divided into two categories: Old World and New World wines. Understanding the distinctions between these two can enrich our appreciation and enjoyment of this timeless beverage. Welcome to Wine Basics by Filipino, where we create wine education videos for beginners and wine lovers. Geographic location. Old World and New World wine regions are defined by their geographic location. The Old World includes Europe and the Middle East. Countries like France, Italy, Spain, Germany, and Portugal dominate this category, but regions such as Greece, Hungary, and Georgia also have ancient wine traditions. The New World countries include the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Chile, Argentina, and South Africa. In the wine world, China is also considered part of the New World. Simply put, if it is not part of the Old World, then it is considered a New World wine region. History and tradition. The Old World is all about tradition and terroir. Old World wines have been around for centuries, filled with traditions that have been passed down from generation to generation. These traditional winemaking countries exported grapes, wines, and winemaking to other countries. As the adage says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The New World is all about innovation and exploration. As relative newcomers to the wine scene, the sky is the limit for New World winemakers, where wine is made through experimentation and the use of modern methods, both in the vineyard and winery. These New World countries learned traditional winemaking methods and used what they learned to develop their own in many ways. Terroir versus innovation. Old World winemakers live and breathe the concept of terroir, believing that the taste of the wine originates from the terroir that the vines grow in. Terroir refers to the combination of soil, climate, and topography. This focus results in wines that express the distinctive characteristics of their place of origin. Vintage is key in Old World wines, as the weather and terroir can drastically change from vintage to vintage. There is a growing trend towards the use of viticultural practices, such as the use of animals in the vineyard, as well as manual labor, along with organic, biodynamic, and sustainable farming. New World winemakers are pioneers in the spirit of adventure and innovation of their ancestors who created the new colonies many centuries ago. Innovation is key. New World winemakers are not restrained by centuries-old laws and traditions, and many modern winemakers will focus on the grape varietal, not solely on terroir, to create the final expression of the wine. This has led to some exciting and unique wines, with winemakers pushing the boundaries in both viticulture and winemaking. Many New World winemakers will experiment with unusual grape blends and modern techniques. New World wines tend to have less vintage variation compared to Old World wine. Modern and efficient machinery is used for the cultivation, harvest, and pressing of grapes. More recently, the focus has been concentrated on using sustainable practices that maximize grape yields and maintain quality with minimal environmental impact. However, it should be noted that there are innovators in the Old World, and in contrast, there are New World winemakers who like to use traditional winemaking methods. It all depends on who is making the wine and what they want to achieve. Labeling regulations. Old World wines are regulated by hundreds of different laws, and the label of an Old World wine must adhere to strict regulations which are designed to maintain a wine's authenticity and transmit essential information to a consumer. These rules, part of appellation systems like the AOC in France and the DOC in Italy, dictate grape varieties, viticultural practices, and winemaking techniques to maintain quality and tradition. In contrast, New World wines have more flexible regulations. This freedom allows winemakers to experiment with different grape varieties, blends, and techniques, fostering innovation. These New World labels are much more straightforward and easy to read. Depending on which country the wine is produced, you may find the grape variety, the geographical area where the grapes were grown, or a focus on the brand that makes the wine. Wine style and taste. Though wines in the Old World and New World are often made from the same grapes, there are different factors such as climate, geography, and the terroir that affect the final wine. In the Old World, the temperatures are often much cooler, often resulting in wines with a more discrete fruit profile. In comparison, Old World wines usually have higher acid profiles, lower alcohol levels, are lighter bodied, and have more subtle aromas with a greater concentration of minerality and earthiness. They are often softer but more complex than their New World counterparts. Outside of these generalizations, there are exceptions, as in the hot Mediterranean regions. Regions such as the south of France, southern Italy, Greece, and other southern parts of Europe can have searing temperatures that reach over 40 degrees Celsius in the summer. In the New World, regions tend to experience warmer temperatures, resulting in wines with riper flavors. These wines are typically higher in alcohol, more robust with intense fruit flavors, and fuller bodies. Warm New World climates tend to create richer and bolder wines with less acidity and subtlety. Again, there are few exceptions to the rule, such as cool climate Pinot Noir from Oregon and Central Otago, New Zealand. The final word. The distinction between Old World and New World wines is not just about geography, but also reflects different philosophies and approaches to winemaking. Old World wines prioritize tradition, terroir, and regulation, resulting in wines that speak of their historical roots. In contrast, New World wines embrace innovation, accessibility, and bold flavors, showcasing the diversity and creativity of modern winemaking. Many beginners will often find the fruit-forward concentration of New World wines to be more approachable. This is because the aromas and flavors of the wine are easier to identify. In contrast, more experienced palates may desire the subtle nuances of Old World wines. However, you can find both power and enjoyment in both styles. Our recommendation is to grab a few friends and do a comparative tasting. For Chardonnay, try tasting Chablis from France next to a California Chardonnay. For Pinot Noir, do a comparative tasting between red Burgundy versus an Oregon Pinot Noir. You can try drinking an Old World Bordeaux alongside a Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon. Or how about a Rhone Valley Syrah against a Barossa Valley Shiraz? Or one of my favorites to compare, a Loire Valley Sauvignon Blanc, like one from Sancerre, versus a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, like one from Marlborough. The more you compare, the more you'll learn. Leave a comment below about which style you enjoy more.